Space, a frontier. These are the voyages of the Smash News Network. It's enough to get us to look at the sun. Are you staring directly at the sun? Please don't do that. Use our YouTube channel instead. And we look at the sun in various wavelengths. This is 94 angstroms from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. One of the many ionized states of iron and the ultraviolet emissions from it. We've got two sunspot regions. Sunspot 2886, I believe it's called. I think I might have mistakenly said that it was 2884. This one up here likely to become 2887. It was a sunspot while we did show prep. We'll let you know by the end of the video if it's still a sunspot. There's a coronal mass ejection warning back in effect, folks. Let's take a look at the viewpoint from Lagrange point 5, the gravitational equilibrium spot where stereo A is, quote, parked, end quote. You've got difference imagery on the right and the regular old coronagraph on the left. The difference imagery is just previous imagery subtracted from current imagery. And sometimes it gives us a little bit of insight. There is a coronal mass ejection on the Earth's side of the sun sort of unfolding at the moment. So we only forecast coronal mass ejections most of the time on this side of the sun, where the Earth is located, not on this side of the sun, although occasionally we do forecast them on the far side as well. Yeah, coronal mass ejection in the Earth vicinity. So coronal mass ejection warning from the data derived from stereo A at Lagrange point 5, which puts Earth off to your right when viewing from stereo A's perspective. A great wavelength to view the sort of filaments that are about to erupt from the sun is 304 angstroms, and you can see some of them actually right here. You can see some dark spots, not to be confused with coronal holes like these areas. And we'll actually do a live stream later on the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/smashomash. Here's the colorized magnetogram. Again, we've got a sunspot here that's 2886. This one up here likely to be named 2887. It's already beta class, and it's actually got a higher chance of producing significant flares than this one down here, which only has one field of one polarity. So here's a close-up of that new rising region, likely to be named Sunspot 2887 if it continues with its current state of affairs. It's got umbrae, at least two of them, and they appear to be opposite polarity. Here's Sunspot 2886 in close-up in 94 angstroms. Not super exciting there. It's only got one polarity umbra. It's an alpha-class sunspot as a result of that magnetic orientation. The radio flux has been quite low here. I think it's still at 76. The upper chromosphere and lower corona emit a radio frequency, 10.7 centimeters. Here's a one-year chart to put it in context. It looks like it's at 78 here. It's actually come down to 76 according to the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. A little bit of geomagnetic unrest forecast here at the end of the day on the 21st. Probably another coronal hole wind stream, as there are significant coronal holes on the Earth-facing disk. Let's take a look at global seismicity. The largest quake of the past 24 occurred in the Mediterranean here. South of Greece. There was a location of that. That was a 6 magnitude quake. Let's check the rest of the list here at USGS. That happened at 5:32 Universal Time this morning. So there's a deep quake on the Kamchatka Peninsula of 5.3 magnitude at 170 kilometers depth. Western South America sees a deep quake at a 4.5 magnitude. Papua New Guinea sees a deep quake at a 4.3 magnitude. .1 off the coast of Chile. South Sandwich Island saw a 4.7 as that area continues to ramp down its seismicity. And let's look at volcanoes next. VolcanoDiscovery.com's got a great Volcanoes Today page. La Palma, still erupting. No estimate on the size of the ash plume from La Palma. Subanosejima, No word. Oh, flight level 110. It's an 11,000-foot plume of volcanic ash from Ionospheic. Samisa Pochnoi continues to erupt on the Aleutian Islands, producing an 8,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Fuego exploding, 15,000-foot plume of volcanic ash over Guatemala. Nevado del Ruiz exploding, 22,000-foot ash plume over Colombia. Sangay exploding. Continuous volcanic ash clouds have produced a 22,000-foot plume of ash over Ecuador. Also Revenador in that same country, 17,000-foot ash plume as it also explodes. Revenador and Sangay, fertilizing the country of Ecuador. Maybe that's why it's so lush and fertile. Sabancaya exploding, 26,000-foot ash plume over Peru as a result of Sabancaya's activity, near continuous ash emissions. Piton de la Fournaise on the island of Réunion. No eruption has occurred until now. The seismic crisis that started yesterday, sign of shallow magma intrusion, gradually declined and almost ceased this morning. It's a great opportunity to not pole vault the caldera. By the way, it's a great opportunity to shop early. Through October 21st, you can save 20 to 60% site-wide by using the promo code SHOPEARLY on checkout. 20 to 60% savings store-wide with the promo code SHOPEARLY at the Redbubble shop. Please do not pole vault the caldera. Today's featured product is Universum Liberate, the Galactic Federation Special Forces patch. Are you unsatisfied with the activities of the Galactic Federation? Well, by all means, become Special Forces with our Universum Liberate products. You can get a dress. You could get a skirt. You could get stickers. You could get a framed art print or perhaps a shower curtain, all with the Special Forces logo of the Galactic Federation Special Forces, featuring their motto, Universum Liberate. You've got the internet. I'll bet you can probably figure out what it means if you don't know your Latin. Welcome to the DR Renaissance. By the way, you can find our smAsho merch shop by clicking at the smAsho merch link on our homepage at smashomash.com. Smash team for the win. Next, let's look at some magnetic data. And we've been seeing a pretty decent range here as measured by the GOES 16 and 17. These arc jet moments are plasma jets caused by the spacecraft's thrusters to make sure they retain their altitude in their geosynchronous orbit, which is near equatorial, by the way. You can see some pretty large ranges here in the past 24 hours here, making it all the way down into the 30s and up to the 150 level or so, at least on the GOES 17. There's been a magnetic tug-of-war going on with the heliospheric current sheet, and we've had a delay in the North Pole current sheet's arrival, and it's all because of Sunspot 2887, the one in the northern hemisphere. I won't get into the magnetohydrodynamics of it, but Earth remains in a South Pole current sheet. I regularly talk about how the magnetic environment can change with no warning. Well, it has, and you can see this blue line being suddenly pulled way up to the north, which is causing the Earth to remain in a South Pole current sheet. Here's some more magnetic data. The coronal hole line of sight plot, which shows you the sun's B field. And you can see some significant North Pole-oriented coronal holes here rotating in. Transequatorial in nature, south of Sunspot 2887, if it does get named. That green area, a large transequatorial North Pole-oriented coronal hole system. We'll see how well defined that is by the time it reaches the Earth-facing zone. Here is 193 angstroms from the SDO. And you can see how well defined that South Pole-oriented coronal hole is. It's actually getting more and more defined. You can see it actually growing a little bit here up toward the solar equator. Likelihood of major solar flares isn't all that high, although the rising of this sunspot up here, which is beta class at the moment, it only needs to be there about 12 hours to get a name, folks. If that remains beta class, that will cause an increase in the likelihood of major solar flares. Coronal mass ejection warning is in effect. So no major flares here over the past 3 days. Only a few B-class intensifications of the X-ray profile of El Sol. No spikes in the proton flux, no surprises to our channel. We forecast coronal mass ejections before they exit the solar corona. Were you aware? Congratulations on realizing our channel exists. So the BZ has just slipped into negative territory here. You see this top red line? BZ is associated with greater geomagnetic effects. And so that negative BZ there, we've only got a total field of 5 nanotesla, BZ -4. Solar wind density just under 9 protons per cubic centimeter. Solar wind speed 355 kilometers per second. Fairly unremarkable over the past day. And here's the KP index, which is missing some data. And if your KP index is missing data, check out the Potsdam. Yeah, the Potsdam KP index. It's a different data source. Anyway, there's the current data on the KP index, the nowcast. It also shows you previous days. It also shows you a timeline here of that's a bunch of different things there. The BTBZ, the AP, I believe it is. The AP index, the planetary magnetic field. Anyway, the interplanetary magnetic field. Anyway, we'll just let that go and look at geospace magnetosphere movies. Yeah, the Potsdam KP index, an alternative to the NASA NOAA KP index. So here's 4 hours of data, magnetohydrodynamic pressure. We're expecting it to be fairly homogeneous. You may see a tiny increase right in the last minutes of the video. And if you do, that's it. That's the shift of the BZ into the negative territory. Not really showing up there too much. It might show up more on ground magnetic perturbations, so here is 4 hours of data on that. Geospace delta B changes to Earth's B field based on the magnetic field on the ground. Changes to Earth's B field. Geospace delta B. We see some magnetic pulses coming out of the Pacific Ocean here. Nothing too exciting happening there. Let's see what's going on in space. This is where things are located. Mars looking pretty lonely. Let's advance this 1 week. There's where things will be on October 26th. Wait till you see the meteorology segment. If you haven't seen the meteorology segment, folks, they premiere typically before the daily space weather video. There is more snow forecasted for some places. You can find all of our videos on playlists, typically. youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. Don't forget to tell your friends and foes about the channel. If you're new, press subscribe. Tell your science noobs and science pros about the channel as well. So here's a star chart showing the yellow line here, which is the ecliptic, the path the sun will take across the sky. The blue line is the galactic plane. Continuing on to our brief cosmology segment. Today's quote random and quote object is 3C405, which is the strongest radio source in the entire sky, located about 530 million light years away. This is a radio galaxy known as Cygnus A. Yeah, it's the second strongest radio source in the entire sky, second only to the sun. And these are its X-ray, the hard X-ray outputs from it. It's not a super bright X-ray source, but it's a super interesting radio source. And here is some imagery of that. So Cygnus A, it's located in the constellation Cygnus, obviously. And it's called Cygnus A because, again, it's the brightest radio source in the entire sky, second only to the sun. There it is in 21 centimeters. And when you look at this in different frequencies, you're going to see all kinds of different features. It features massive radio jets as well. I'm just going to click on some various different radio images here. There's a 9-year image. 74 megahertz. How about 450 nanometers not showing up there? And there's some more radio imagery of it. A distant galaxy showing up very bright in radio frequency. It's Cygnus A, one of the more interesting objects in the universe. Let's talk about the astronomy picture of the day. It's Palomar 6. Now, the Milky Way contains many globular clusters. Globular clusters are large groups of stars that behave like little galaxies within galaxies. They're gravitationally bound, not to be confused with open clusters, which are just a bunch of stars that are close to each other, largely moving in the same way. These are all orbiting a central point, giving them a spherical-like shape in most cases. This one located at about 15 light years, I believe this one is, 15 to 18 light years. Palomar 6, the astronomy picture of the day. And you can find links to read more about Palomar 6, the globular cluster in the Milky Way galaxy, if you like, at apod.nasa.gov. That's today's cosmology segment. We kept it brief. Let's take a look at charging hazards. We see some charging hazards here. Surface charging over the Caribbean, Central Atlantic, Northern South America, and Mexico, and even some of southern Florida here, showing some surface charging hazards. Could cause some minor communications disruptions. Here's a 1-year chart of the electron flux. That's from Solon.info. Here's a 3-day chart measured by the GOES 16 and 17. Nothing to write home about there. Here's the forecast model from NOAA. And NOAA expecting a small downtick according to the forecast, which is the green box. The yellow diamonds are the observation. Let's take a look at the total electron content forecast next, showing you the most likely areas on planet Earth for GPS errors. The redder it gets, the more likely a GPS error will occur there. And the inner Van Allen belt looking fairly organized here at the moment. That's the total electron density up to your handset, down to your handset from the geosynchronous satellite. Next, the Ionosphere layer, located at about 300 kilometers of altitude. Here's the ionogram of that, and we're seeing major anomalies here in the African Rift Zone. This area right here north of Madagascar, you're going to see ongoing massive anomalies in there, both of the high and low frequency nature. So I'll just let this play through here. You're going to see regular and ongoing ionospheric anomalies right there north of Madagascar there, off of the east central coast of Africa. And the anomaly map will make it even more obvious. You can see massive swings in the ionosphere happening at that moment, right in one specific spot there. So there is the latest image. That's 8:30 Universal Time. And if you look at the anomaly map, you can see this point right about here, where there's just huge swings in the vibrational frequency overhead. So 300 kilometers up, folks, there's a lot of stuff going on up there, a lot of chemical reactions. And this is vibrational frequency here. So this anomaly map is showing you departure in megahertz from the 30-day median. The anomaly in megahertz from the 30-day median. So major low-frequency anomalies here on both sides of the African Rift Zone, as well as huge swings, high-frequency anomalies in the Central Pacific Ocean, and once again, a coronal mass ejection warning in effect. Some stuff going on in the ionosphere. There's the latest image at 8:30 Universal Time, and once again, you can see this line of a major swing in the ionosphere. There's the megahertz ionogram, and there's the anomalygram. And we just completed another meteorology segment. Again, those typically air before the daily space weather video, so check it out. Here come bonus features. First is Lermonth, the Lermonth ground-based solar observatory showing hydrogen alpha imagery. Coronal mass ejection warning in effect. There's going to be one in the Earth vicinity today. We'll keep you posted on that, hopefully, if all goes according to plan. We will be streaming it. There's Sunspot 2886. There's 2887. It still has certainly 2 umbrae there. That is a beta-class sunspot. That is an alpha-class sunspot. So that beta-class sunspot there, most likely to produce significant flares. If any sunspots shall, it'll most likely be that northern one, Sunspot 2887, if it's there long enough to get a name. Here's 171 angstroms from the SDO. And we'll close the video out with a composite, 171 plus 304 angstroms. I think it's my personal favorite composite. Giving you the lovely orange tones. Anyway, once again, thanks for tuning in. Congratulations on realizing our channel exists, and may that solar wind be at your back.